watching Bounce TV News at 7.
Good evening, I'm Rahman Johnson, and you're inside the news on Bounce. Tonight, Marissa Alexander is now getting a brand new trial. Now, you may remember she was sentenced to 20 years for firing warning shots in the air to scare off her abusive husband. Now, what we know so far is that this Florida woman says that she and her husband were estranged at the time. And during that argument, the judge has said now that she will, or during the initial trial, she was not able to invoke the stand your ground defense. Right now, what we understand is the First District Court of Appeals have ruled that even in the new trial, she still would not be able to use that stand your ground defense. The ruling was written by Judge Robert Benton, and he said the instructions contained or constituted a fundamental error. They required Alexander to prove self-defense beyond a reasonable doubt. And standing by with us on Skype, this is Kwame Thompson in Atlanta. Kwame, how are you? Kwame, are you with us?
Thank you.
Hey, thank you. There you go. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And I know I've talked to you before about this trial. It's riveting. Marissa Alexander is going to be back in court to plead her case. How does it look for her?
I think that things are looking pretty good from this point on. But what we have here, I want to look at a little of the procedural history. The court has called this a fundamental error, and the prosecuting attorney has called it a technical error. But what we have here is an injustice to this woman who should have been afforded the stand your ground rule from the beginning. And the trial court judge who said that the stand your ground defense didn't apply is the one who allowed this erroneous jury instruction, and then comes back and states that, that the stand your ground defense, wasn't applicable in the first place.
Now, I talked to Congresswoman Corrine Brown, who is one of the most outspoken opponents of Angela Corey, who is the state attorney. Congresswoman Brown says she's not even sure, though. I mean, her office is trying to wrap their arms around it. They're just hearing, but things I'm seeing on social media, as well as the NAACP, said they're not sure that this case is going to turn out any different. Is this something you think the Justice Department may have to get involved in?
Well, I think that the case is going to really turn out fundamentally different because, as you are aware, the jury were given instructions, and it was a jury of 6 people to prove that this defendant was proved that she acted in self-defense beyond a reasonable doubt. And everyone knows that that's erroneous. The prosecution has to prove that she acted beyond a reasonable doubt in violation of the aggravated assault laws.
Kwame, let me ask you this. I know our time is coming to an end, but yes. One of the things I found so interesting in the report during the deposition, her estranged husband or ex-husband at the time said, and I quote, "I have 5 baby mamas and I put my hands on all of them except one." That's what he said. Then he turned around on the stand and said something completely different and said, "I was in fear for my life. I was standing there. She had the gun," and he completely changed his story. But no one in the state attorney's office went after him for perjury. Is that something you think could come back up since he did not tell the truth in one way or the other, because he said both things under oath?
Well, he may have immunity because we don't know what type of deal that he worked out there, but this is further proof that Marissa Alexander was the one who was the victim, and this case should have never been prosecuted from the get-go, from the beginning.
Kwame, we'll be following this case closely. Thank you so much for joining in with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.